Yes, thank you for calling me in again today. As you know, I have connected with you in the past, and I did explain to you then that my rulership of Atlantis was part of a uh, part of the manipulation that did destroy that civilization. My ruling was dictatorship based. I liked to use my close friends and family to peer pressure people into believing and following me. And I did think what I was doing was right, but I also had my own ego that was very out of control. And I liked to be right. And I was very headstrong with my opinion of what was right. And so people who went against me, they suffered the consequences of that. They were ostracized, belittled, and outcast. And that is how I liked to live my life, surrounded by people who were always supporting and indulging my beliefs, my whims, my needs. And as history goes, which is correct, with that leadership approach, that did sink our civilization. And that was lessons for all to experience and understand that leadership needs to have checks and balances, and that people who are seen as leaders need to be more fact-checked than anyone. And there needs to be more transparency in their own agendas, and a lot of secret deals and meetings behind the doors serve no one. And this was a lesson for that civilization to be able to use their intuition and know what was happening and not trust blindly that their leaders were guiding them in the right place. This was a very hard lesson because many people still feel betrayed. And unfortunately, what I want to say to them now, which may actually offend them still, is that they only portrayed themselves. They should have been part of this. They should have risen together. They should have known how things were getting out of hand. And they should have, even though they were higher dimensional beings, they should have stopped me, stopped my group who had the bad agenda, self-serving agenda, shall I say. And so while we all played a part in this and it got out of hand for all, now this is important to know that the people who are amongst your civilizations, amongst your communities, are not doing things that have negative agendas that are self-serving them for their ego, for their insatiable passion for attention, control, and manipulation. And this is why the fifth dimensional new earth, you're all going to be more profoundly connected with each other. You will not be able to lie to each other. You will not be able to hold secret meetings to be able to peer pressure certain people into doing things against their wills. Again, civilization right now, as you know it, is exactly in the same predicament as Atlantis. And it is very interesting times. You all, because of what has happened since the beginning of time on this planet, has always was supposed to be on a more healthier, peaceful path, but things did not move and shift fast enough. And the negativity, the energetic negativity around this planet is extremely toxic. And so while it's not about saving the environment and recycling, not using plastic spoons, for example, there's the bigger issue here about the negativity and the fear. All of your emotions that you feel do not just suddenly disappear when you get over it. That negativity is produced, it is created, and then it leaves your body, shall we say, this is an analogy for you to understand it, your bad mood, your bad day, that negative energy is produced, and then it leaves your body and lingers. And while you may not feel that negativity again, shall we say, it lifts up off and surrounds your planet. So while you have a planet right now, you have this mist of emotions that is very negative. And so it's very heavy. It's making the impact of your lives very much more harder density. And so while you've got the third dimensional planet that you're balancing emotionally living through, you also have this other invisible negative energetic mist around your planet, which is making it even more denser. And this is why it's even more harder for people to awaken, because they're so heavily suppressed down with the emotions and the physicalness of the planet. This is why we say this planet is incredibly toxic now. It cannot thrive anymore. It's already been agreed upon that the conscious mind and consciousness of this planet will reincarnate into a new other planet that we have created for her. And this planet does need to be dealt with and processed, so this negativity will not spread out to other neighboring planets and will not be habitable for any other beings who want to come, because even the most curious beings who are the most higher, who have higher dimensional mindsets and evolved more, once they come onto this planet, even though they would know not to because it is toxic, if they accidentally came onto this planet, it would attract them again because of that negativity. And so this is irresponsible for us just to evacuate the planet and help the planet's conscious mind to evolve and reincarnate to another being. We can't just leave it here. It is littering within the universe, and we will not have that. We have to dispose of the planet in a most appropriate way, and to be able to remove that toxicity of the emotions that mist around it. So while the planet could keep living by herself if there was none of that toxic emotions, of that negativity, it is so much negativity that it doesn't matter how much light we shine on it, it's still there. You can't vacuum it up and sweep it under the rug. You can't. It has been created. When you create something, you can't uncreate something. We have to deal with it and process it. And so the way that we're dealing with it is we're reversing the matter of that negativity, and so we're going to implode it on itself. And so it's going to be a very, very small, tiny particle of dense negative energy. And this is it is removing itself from the problem, but you have to be able to invert the space to be able to do that, and you can't do that without destroying the planet. And so this is why we need to remove you first and then be able to have that process done. So we know that you're uncomfortable with this conversation because you are still emotionally and physically attached to the planet. So we don't want to go, we can't even go into the specifics of this because it's a bigger conversation, and the way that we're speaking about it is very rude and crude, very basic terminology to be able to explain to you why this is happening. So in terms of my role as Thoth, as the leader of the Atlanteans, this was, my life purpose was supposed to be able to inspire, encourage, and grow, but my ego got in the way, and I lost my mission and my purpose a bit, and it was a perfect opportunity for people to override the leadership, and there should have been more of a collective overruling me. And that could have been a perfect reset. However, it wasn't, because I was too good at manipulating and dominating the people there. So unfortunately, there was lessons there which was supposed to then be played out now, and be able to show people the way. And all of your bigger problems that you have seen in your wars and such like, that was opportunities for the people to rise up and be able to overpower the leaders who do not have your best interests at heart. It's always about money, power, and manipulation of the population. And so it is, once again, very dangerously put on you to be peer pressured into following the leadership and the approaches of the leaders. However, this is the reason why we're not letting it get any further. We are intervening now, not only because of the negativity and the state of the planet, just even if the state of the planet itself could be sustainable for a lot longer, and not regarding the toxic mist that you've created through your fear and worry, and the traumas that you all experienced and suffered through these lifetimes and all the other lifetimes. It is putting all of that aside. The agendas that the rulers had for you was unbreakable. You would not have been able to really rise above it, even if you had come together as a collective. There was no winning, and it was so aggressive, their approach to really take over your free will, with the control of the food, the control of the weather, the control of the environment. It was not a fair game. And while we know that you don't want to refer your life as a game, it is a learning process. And so it is a game, but it was one that you would not have wanted to really continue living with. It is not, it doesn't have much lessons, and it is, it was not agreed upon. It just got so out of hand. And so while most of you did know that this was the time for change, and you came to be able to help with the calling of the universe to be able to change this and promote this forward and do the shift now, when you originally came to Earth many lifetimes ago, and as we're talking to people in general, not specifically everyone, when you arrived on Earth to have a few experiences, to be able to have the novelty of this planet, because of back then already things going and the society was challenging already, karma has started occurring. And so when you try to keep coming back to be able to correct the karma, to learn from it, it just got harder and harder and harder and more impossible. And so the original players of this game of life, they did not truly sign up for this. This life that we have now, these lives that we have now, no real beings would sign up for this truly as a one-off experience for the original purposes of exploring the 3D dimensional life. This is an incredibly hard one. It has entrapped many souls through the karmic system to be able to grow from it. And there has been manipulation, there has been restrictions for people to return. It is kind of like once you agree to this lifetime here, you cannot get out until you have passed go, until you have come out of the maze, until you have reached the end scene. It has been an interesting one. We did not want to really say that you have really been entrapped, and we did want to say that your, karma is placed on you with your free will, and you want to come back and learn from it. It is much more complicated than that. and this would have made you feel all very entrapped, knowing that you were stuck in this karmic cycle that you could not escape from until you evolved from. And now that it's involved, now to evolve from it is nearly impossible. It literally is impossible. With all of your other lifetimes that you've accrued. So it does seem like it was a dire situation, and this is why we needed all the volunteers to come and boost and help and lift the vibrations of the earth to be able to start the evacuation of the planet, to be able to lift you off this non-winning game. It is so much more complicated than this, and we understand that this could be confusing for many. And we don't want you to go into fear and worry. The new earth has its own karmic cycle, but it's on the fair balance. Because you're also connected with each other on the new earth, someone who suddenly had mischievous intentions and wanted to hurt others for their own personal gain, that would not even be possible. And even if they just thought, okay, I'm going to be a bad guy today, you would all know that nothing would be unnoticed. You would all sense that. And because you're also emotionally connected to each other, no true evil or badness, or I mean, don't want to say evil because there is no evil, but there is no egos that will be able to come in and control and manipulate. It is a very even base ground. So it is nearly impossible to accrue karma on the fifth dimension, even though there is karmic there is a karmic system there. It is not an entrapment like it was on this earth. And so it is already, we've learned all the lessons now. We've seen how it has got out of hand. And so we are correcting that principle and that baseline for the new earth, because it was never supposed to be this prison. It was never supposed to be this much of a challenge. And while it was never supposed to be like this, the lessons learned from this have been phenomenal and really important and really, really good, because ultimately you're all going to evolve and you'll want to create your own planets and your own civilizations. And with this experience of how things got out of hand, you're going to be able to make sure this never happens in your futures, when you are controlling the decisions of how you want your own planets and your own civilizations to work together. You're not just doing this by yourself, you're doing this with your soul families. Soul families is what soul families do, is you work together as a project and you all complement each other's passions and interests and desires. And what you're wanting to do is keep creating beautiful civilizations, beautiful planets that have purpose. And certain planets will have different purposes and experiences, which the soul families want to learn from and grow from and enjoy. So it is much bigger picture here. We don't want you to feel like any of your hardship and your hard experiences have led to nothing. Everything is massive learning. You apply all of the things that you have learned in this lifetime, you get to apply in other lifetimes and other experiences and other situations. So it is all purposeful. You will not forget anything. You will not forget any of your lessons, and you will grow from it. And this is all about living in harmony together and respecting each other. It's not just the malevolent beings. It is also the ones that don't have compassion or consideration for other beings. So you've all kind of merged together in this lifetime on Earth and these lives on Earth to be able to be connected to different beings while you've had the illusion of this lifetime or many lifetimes, and you've had to learn to get on. And while you've been on this planet, you have had these emotional attachments to your family and your friends, not knowing actually what beings they are. And so when you evolve and when you can look back at this and realize that you have all been connecting and having great relationships with, in quotation marks, bad guys who come from reptilians or Dracos. You know, it's not about, it's about, from this perspective, having a blind playground date. And you don't see the bodies, you don't know the history of who your playmates are. And this lifetime and this experience on Earth turned into being many play dates with many different beings that you were unaware of, but you all thought you were the same beings, same species, and you learned and grew together. And while you may discover that your best friend has a completely different background of a completely different culture and civilization and species, because you both have different family backgrounds and different planets, you will remember that you are source and you all connected to source. However, some beings have removed themselves from source. They have forgotten that they are part of the source collective. You are all source. You are all collected together. So this was important to skill and learn and remind and teach some new things that some beings have never experienced before, sharing and growing together and learning together, evolving together. And why some beings already have those skill sets, they've come down and had these lifetimes on Earth to be able to help play together, to grow and learn together. Again, it is a bigger, complex situation, but the purpose of it is to have been able to train you all and give you all the perspective of having internal peace. And this is important. We do not want any more galactic wars. We do not want any more destruction of other planets because of bad agendas. We want everyone to learn and grow from this now. And so there can be a better balance. So we know there is a lot here that we are unpacking for you. And it really doesn't matter if you understand it now or when you understand it. This is really off topic from the information, the situation that it is at hand. But we really want to discuss this with you. We also know that the other question was, will Thoth come back and be able to revive the emerald tablets? Yes, there is many artifacts on Earth that need to be collected because of the energy frequencies that it contains. While those tablets are under the sea, they will be revived. And this is part of the land destruction and the land shifts. So it is very real. It is very important that these things happen, and they will be happening. How I will come back on Earth will not be as I was in my Atlantean time. I have evolved now. While I have had other reincarnations to experience different lifetimes because I wanted to, while there was still the 3D planet, I do not have a direct reincarnation of myself that is going to directly connect and collect those tablets. It will be done through other methods that does not concern anyone listening right now. So we say this with much love, and we hope that this helped people who are asking more about this.